Armchair Podcast. It is March 9th, 2:40 p.m. here in Capitol Hill, Seattle. Let's see, not a whole lot going on today, but thanks for tuning in again. Let's see, I still don't have like any sort of listeners yet, so it's kind of like weird doing this podcast because it feels like I'm doing it for myself, which is fine. I mean, whatever, but if you do want to participate, you do want to have like some ideas, maybe you got an idea for a skit, maybe you want to be on the show. Fuck, I don't know. If you happen to be listening and you're in the Capitol Hill area, somewhere near Bellevue and Olive Avenue, chances are I could have you on the show if I don't think you're too fucking sketchy or weird or anything, right? Well, anyway, let's get started. No news on the whole Shay Taylor thing. I think it's gonna probably just get swept up under the rug just by the look of it. There's not really much to say, so far. I mean, unless we actually see some real, like, dash cam video that's, like, for sure, without a doubt, like, he went for the gun. We'll probably never know for sure. Which is kind of sad, Anyway. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. What do you guys think? You're gonna get all fucked up? It's weird. Like, I don't have any plan to do anything for St. Patrick's Day. Like, I'm not one of those people who has Irish in their background and is like, yeah, I'm fucking Irish every, like, March 17th. It's just one of those things where it's like I acknowledge it, and because I'm, what you would call, like, brown-skinned, everyone looks at me and is like, oh, yeah, you don't have any fucking Irish in you at all, that sort of thing, right? And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. I'm probably just as much, I'm pretty equally divided amongst my national heritages. I'm probably just as Native American as I am Mexican, as I am, Italian, English, and Irish, that sort of stuff. I mean, when I get down to breaking it, like, the biggest stuff is probably, like, Native American and Mexican, but after that, everything else is equally divided, I would think, Anyway, I mean, point is, it's not like I'm going to be walking up to, like, some Irish dude at a bar or whatever and be like, oh, hey, man, I'm fucking Irish too, and not having any clue about the culture, any of that sort of shit. And even if you do have a clue about the culture, that's good, if it's a part of your heritage and whatnot, embrace it or whatever, but get the fuck over it, I understand you guys are like, what do you mean? But, like, okay, so you're Irish. Quit bringing up the potato famine that happened, back in the 1700s or the 1800s or whatever. I mean, no one in your family, for at least a couple generations has had to deal with that shit. So, quit telling me your fucking twinkly-eyed Irish sob stories about how you're so fucking Irish and all that shit. And quit trying to be black people too. Can we just say that? Fucking tired of Irish people trying to be black people. That's fine. Do you be fucking pieces of shit, whatever. But, like, can you just stop? Trying to, like, outdo black people at every fucking thing. Anyway. Again, no problem with, like, Irish people, but just, like, that kind of Irish people that just put themselves in that sort of place where they're like, yeah, I'm a fucking thug, or yeah, I'm a boss bitch. Go fuck yourself. So no plans for St. Patrick's Day, but it seems like an excuse every year basically for everybody to just drink or whatever, and that's fine, I guess. Man, I as soon as, like, we got out of fucking January and February, I was like, okay, great, no more fucking holidays. We got New Year, so okay, New Year's, whatever, everybody drank. Valentine's Day, everybody gets all fucked up and, whatever, bangs their girlfriend or their boyfriend or whatever the fuck, who cares, I don't care. And now it's like, aside from, like, April, May, I can't think of, like, too many months that, like, don't have, like, a drinking holiday in them, like, I don't know. Now that I think about it, like, when I'm not trying to drink as much, there's so many fucking drinking holidays. Anyway, fuck it. St. Patrick's Day. Fuck all you fake Irish people that came over to America, like, with your family hundreds of years ago. you're fucking Americans. You got your Irish background. Just like I'm not Mexican or Native American. I'm just fucking American. All right, you wanna call me out on that? Like, oh, fucking. All right, so we're not Irish. Well, you're not fucking whatever. And it's like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Fucking. I have no cultural ties to anything in my background whatsoever. I'm just, aside from the fact that I have brown skin, I'm just a fucking white guy. On the corner of Pike and Summit, they're gonna be no Pine and Summit. They're gonna be getting rid of that fucking shit bar, fucking 500 East. I never went in there, but like when it was like World of Beer, a girl and I were always walking by that place calling it World of Yups, because like you look in and it looks like a bunch of people who, I don't know, dress down, but you can tell they have like, a decent job and a decent car and some decent money and a decent apartment, right? But they're dressing down like they're the biggest fucking Seahawks fans, or they're just in there having a casual night away from work. And it's like, I don't know, there was no vibe about that place. It was just very processed, inorganic, as far as like, you walk into a place and you want it to kind of feel like Cheers, like you're comfortable at least. Whereas you walk into some places, if you're not going to a club, then you're like, oh, you walk into some place and it just feels cold and fucking like, what, I'm supposed to be comfortable here. Some places look like they're designed to maybe be like in and out kind of bars, like where people go bar hopping. But if so, 500 East was a bad location, because they got rid of that fucking row of bars like years ago. Anyway, so yeah, 500 East is closing. Good, fuck them. Hopefully they replace it with like a cool bar or like a cool store at least. I don't know, it's just like I'm tired of all the fucking concrete on the floor, no carpet. I mean, I don't really give a fuck about the carpet, but just like that look that we're in this modern age of like, oh yeah, let's just have like, exposed concrete and fucking get concrete dust in your fucking lungs over the years. Everything's gonna look like we just got done fucking building this place. Make yourselves at home, feel comfortable, right? Fuck that. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know why I'm spending so much time saying fuck this bar, because I don't know, I've never been in there, but it just seemed cold as fuck, and I'm glad to see that a normal looking place is going down for once, as opposed to like, I was talking with like one of the food servers over at Clever Duns, and was like, this place has like a lot of potential, it's just kind of dark inside, it kind of needs like a little bit of something. And the dude was like, yeah, I know what you mean, just for the sake of not, ousting him or whatever, let's just put it down to politics within the bar as far as that sort of shit goes. Like, obviously, he's low on the totem pole, he can't make decisions, but yeah, no, he totally knew what I was talking about. Clever Duns has a lot of potential, it's the weirdo bar, but there's not a lot of places like that in the Hill where, at least I'll put it this way, like, I mean, yeah, you can go to the Unicorn, but then you gotta be okay with the fact that you're in with all like the gender queers, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I think that's what they're calling themselves. Gays and lesbians, transgender folks. I don't have a problem with that at all, like at all. It's just like, okay, so I don't know. I go into a black bar, I'm probably going to be just as uncomfortable because I'm probably the only non-black dude there, right? I think it's just one of those things where we look for familiarity in the places that we go. And if I were to go into like the Unicorn, which is also, I guess, considered a weirdo bar to me, it's just one of those places where I just wouldn't fit in. I don't fit in anywhere, fuck it, but, I don't know. At least at like Clever Duns, I can feel like I'm like, blending in and fitting in at the same time. Whereas if I go to the Unicorn, I'm not all like buzz cut, undercut, man beard, fucking man bun, that sort of shit. Basically like hipster queers. So I would definitely stand out there too. Whatever. But so I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like there's a lot of bars in the area, but man, there's a lot of douchebag bars in the area too, you know? Fuck it. So I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, oh, you're just fucking, you're a prick, you don't fucking know what you're talking about, you just gotta, like, put yourself out there more, and just be okay with going to bars and shit like that, and talking to people. It's like, I don't know, when I walk into a place, I just know, fuck this place, or not, you know? Let's see, there was a gas leak explosion in the Greenwood neighborhood, sent a few firefighters to the hospital. I don't know if it killed anybody, but man, it did some damage, so... A couple years ago, this happened in Northgate too. I'm thinking like everybody in North Seattle probably needs to get their gas pipes checked. Although I think it was a natural gas explosion, so I don't think you can really do much about that. But in general, like all these gas explosions in fucking North Seattle, people probably should get their gas piping checked. You know, make sure everything's up to code, everything's sealed. You know, that kind of shit. I don't know. Call me crazy. Let's see, what else is going on? This might be a short podcast today because I'm just fucking just killing it, breezing through these topics. I got nothing to say, really. I'm just kind of like being Mr. fucking reporter, right? J.K. Rowling is getting some shit about Native American wizards. She's got this like new storyline coming out or whatever where it visits America and all this shit. And I kind of saw the trailer for it and was like kind of going back and forth between the trailer and like what the whole like upset is about, because basically, like, you know, you've got Native Americans pissed off all about it because basically they're claiming, and I agree with them, that J.K. Rowling is essentially just appropriating Native American culture, lumping us all into like one category of just indigenous peoples, you know, not acknowledging, like, it seemed like it was taking place on the East Coast, but then she's telling like skinwalker stories, which, I mean, as far as I know anyway, are like Navajo stories. I'm sure other cultures have skinwalkers as well, but like that's definitely like, you know, a lot of people are like, when they say skinwalkers, they think Navajo a lot of the times, at least on this coast anyway. But yeah, so she's just basically taking shit from like all over the, you know, pan Native American culture and just like making it like one thing. And I couldn't even tell what the fuck else was going on in that show. I mean, I think it's kind of cool to get some sort of spotlight, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, you might as well just have us all playing drunks or whatever as well, just because you're doing all the stereotypes. But you know, you might as well just go through one more stereotype just to be like a douchebag about it. I don't know. I never really liked J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. Didn't give a fuck about it. Never gave a fuck about Lord of the Rings, which I know isn't the same author. That's Tolkien. Never gave a shit about The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe, even though I read it. Found it really fucking boring. And as a matter of fact, it was like one of those things where it was like, in my mind, that was like, at that age, like I was like a very young child, but at that age, I realized I'm not into fucking this genre of fantasy where it's too easy to like be like Merlin the magician cast a spell and fucking all was right again. You know, it's like, what was the point of writing all that fucking conflict if at the very end of it you have some fucking half-ass like plot line to resolve everything at the end? I mean, Mauricio was over here yesterday like, what? Like, why? You know, I'm like, well, sometimes I just want shit to go wrong. I don't want things to always go right, you know? And that was always my qualm with the whole, you know, fantasy genre in that sense. Like, if I was going to watch the Lord of the Ring movies, I already fucking kind of know what's going to happen, so why am I going to waste my time watching these guys walking through the woods just to know that they're going to get the ring back, and fucking, I think Smeagol's going to get thrown into the volcano or some shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to watch the movie just for that. I don't know. Some people are haters on some things, and that is definitely one of my things that I hate on. Dos Equis is retiring the most interesting man in the world. I guess they're maybe going to replace him with maybe a younger sponsor, more up to date, sometime in the near future. But basically, they're sending the current most interesting man in the world in the fiction of the story to Mars. And then I guess they're already planning it out, like I mentioned. But maybe in the near future they'll have another most interesting man in the world because that was a successful ad campaign for them, and they want to keep that shit going, of course. But they're saying maybe they'll make it a younger, hipper guy. And they mentioned something about maybe, like, because the market's changed. Now it's about craft beers and shit like that. Maybe they'll dive into that. But it's all kind of, like, vague at the moment. But, to the most interesting man in the world, I think it was Jonathan Goldsmith. Thank you, sir. You did an amazing job in that role. You inspired men all across the globe. Thank you. Kim Kardashian is in the fucking news again, like always, for some fucking stupid shit. Basically, it's "Empowered by My Body" is the headline read, right? And I guess she posted like some old nude selfies on fucking Twitter or whatever, or Instagram. I don't give a fuck, but I guess she's getting all this flack because she put like those censored bars just right, but like I guess the tweet read, when you're like, "I have nothing to wear, LOL," and then she's like nude and she's got the censor bars, right? But she's like, "Oh, I don't do drugs. I hardly drink. I've never committed a crime, and yet I'm a bad role model for being proud of my body." I don't think it's that we have an issue that you're proud of your body. I think it's that you're putting your body out there for the whole fucking world to see. And some people are like, "Oh, well, you're setting a bad example for young women." And I would actually agree with that. But because you're such a piece of shit, you're like, "Oh, well, I don't care what you have to say because I'm proud of my body and I'm fucking not ashamed. And I'm some piece of shit that fucking, got famous off of a sex tape." And she always, she mentions, like, it always comes back to that sex tape. Well, yeah, it always comes back to that sex tape because that's how you got famous in the fucking first place. After that, the gates were open for you. You were able to open, your own businesses and shit like that, as far as, getting your name on some brands and fucking. I guarantee you, if you did not make that sex tape, you would be fucking just another person in fucking Hollywood. You wouldn't be as big as you are. So, you want to bitch about people criticizing you for the sex tape or the fucking nudes that you do. I don't know. How about you stop putting yourself out there like that? People are fucking tired of you. When are you going to realize that? I don't care if you've got like, 1 billion Instagram followers or whatever the fuck. I don't. All right. But I mean, apparently 1 billion people give enough about a shit of you, to fucking want to see that shit or whatever. But there's still other like 6 billion people on the planet or whatever. Or, I'm just making up the numbers here. But the point is, fuck Kim Kardashian. I don't even know why I'm wasting my time worrying about her, because it's like the more I worry about it, the more I die a little bit inside every time. Fuck him. Alright, so I'm probably going to be cutting the podcast a little short today. Normally I'm like aiming for about a half an hour, but I don't have a Beautiful Girls sketch today, but I'll probably have like a list next time of like some hot chicks that I want to talk about. But on the Crackhead Report, hence the Dope Man song, I was coming home from work last night and trying to get in my parking spot in this GMC Suburban's kind of like parked diagonally next to my parking spot, but the tail end of that car is like in my parking spot, right? So I can't really get in, and I'm looking at these people sitting in the Suburban like, "Hey, like I'm trying to, get into this parking spot, that whole thing," and they're looking at me like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, So I eventually rolled down my window just to talk to him and be like, "Can I get into my parking spot fully? Because you're kind of like at an angle into it." And I was kind of caught off guard at first because it was like a couple of drag queens in this GMC Suburban. And I'm like realizing what's going on as more and more as they're talking to me. And I'm like, "Oh, it was my birthday today. We just got done doing a drag show." I'm like, "Oh, really? Yeah, you look like a dude in fucking drag." Again, I don't have a problem with dudes in drag. I'm just like, tell me something I don't know is kind of more the point I was making with that. oh, so yeah, we just got done doing a drag show, and like da 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 da. She was just changing her shoes. I'm like, well, can I get in my parking spot because you're, at an angle? Yeah. And then as soon as I get out of the car, they start telling me all this stuff, and it's like, it was my birthday today. And I'm like, okay, cool, happy birthday. I'm just trying to, go to my apartment where I live. And I guess it was somebody here who lived in the building. I've seen them around, and I know who it is now. I'm not gonna say any names or any of that shit, any details, but I'm like, man, dude, fucking, because like, okay, when I had a friend who fell off pretty hard into heroin, who was sleeping on my floor here for a little bit, there was a point where he was like going down to this person's apartment, and I didn't really care why. I figured they were just like doing heroin together or some shit like that, but he comes back one day with like this like cup of sugar or whatever, because he's one of those coffee drinkers, and it's like, do you have any sugar? I'm like, no, man, fucking you used all my sugar when you drank all the fucking when you're drinking your coffee, so I'm not gonna replace it, because that's you, fucking, I'm not worried about that shit. So he starts going over this guy's house to get some sugar, and then comes back with a tub one day on it that says bareback sugar, and I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Is it like a flavor of like sugar, like raw, I mean, and that's kind of how he played it off, until like I realized later, like, oh, like, I don't know why it took me so long to realize it, because it's hilariously obvious now, but like, he was like either sucking this dude's dick or letting him fuck him up the ass for some fucking sugar, and probably like some money too. But like, yeah, he was coming back like all kinds of shit. Like, he came back with like a knife set from this guy's apartment one time, and I'm like, would you have to suck some dick for this knife set? Like, what the fuck? And he kind of like nervously laughed, like, no, kind of like that sort of shit. I'm like, you fucking, man, you piece of shit, man. But anyway, so yeah, point is, I think the drag queens were downstairs in the parking lot, fucking getting it on in the GMC Suburban, because fucking, I don't know, car sex, whatever, that shit happens, right? Ugh. Anyway, it was just one of those things where it was like, I'd rather have just gotten into my apartment and not minded anybody else's business. I guess with that, fuck it. The podcast is done for the day. I don't really have anything else to say. Again, if you want to participate, have any ideas, I don't know, want to criticize me, you want to go back and forth and talking some shit, and I can talk some shit to you over this podcast, whatever. I don't know. I'm looking for ideas here. Send me an email at luceropodcast@gmail.com. That's luceropodcast@gmail.com. LUCERO podcast@gmail.com. All right. I'll catch you folks later, maybe later on in the week. I don't do this thing regularly enough, so I probably should. But until then, I don't know. Keep it easy.